Muted? Is it working now? Is it working now? Bro, are you shitting me? Hello? Is it working now? Oh my god. Wow. Imagine giving that entire spiel just to be like, that is fan-freaking-tastic. Let's just move some things over. All right, good way to start things. So I wasn't muted, by the way. My headset was unplugged and I didn't realize that. Like, so it's a plug-in with like an outlet, and it was like tilted slightly, so it was slightly unplugged. So I just had to fully put it in. Wow, that hurts the heart, because I looked and I was like, it says it's not muted, so I'm not muted. Why is the mic not working? I was like, oh look, somehow it got unplugged. So fantastic. But as I was saying, thank you guys all so much for stopping by. As always, my name is Eli. Tuesdays and Thursdays are our Q&A session days. If you don't know why we titled the video the way we did, it's because I don't have time to go through and answer your guys' comments and questions on Mondays and Wednesdays. So today's the day for me to answer it live, kind of shoot the crap, and just have fun the entire time. So that is what today is all about. If you don't already know, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And lastly, if you haven't already done so, check out the links down in the description below. We've got 2 in particular I highly recommend you check out. Patreon, if we do have any open spots available, highly recommend you check that out. Get yourself some access to wholesale level prices for Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, other such things. And then outside of that, link to the Discord down below. That's where we have most of our notifications, keep you up to date on everything going on with Pokemon USA, and be a part of the community. But jumping into it, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially here to be heard. It's about freaking time. So that sucks. I am so sorry about that, guys. I can't believe the audio was not running. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. So, but I'm glad you guys can hear me now. But whoa, we're live. I know, right? It's been a while, man. It has been a while. So for those of you guys that don't know, that are tuning in, that aren't a part of the Discord, once again, recommend that you do tune into the Discord, because this is where I make the announcements typically. I was out of town on a trip back home to Oregon. The previous trip that I took was purely all business. This trip was a little bit of A, a little bit of B, so I did a little bit of business stuff, but I also was able to catch up with some family members this time around. So I was gone on hiatus for like 6 days, I think is how long I was down in Bend, Oregon for. But back to our regular schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. So you guys know how it is. It was just momentary. Ideally, the dream would be I can be on vacation, or I don't know if I should call it vacation, but I should be calling it, you know, on trips, and be able to stream away from home. But the problem is that I need to have a consistent, I don't want to see this. I need to have consistent internet, so that I'm not lagging and glitching. And Bend is known for having absolutely atrocious internet, so that's my one thing that's kind of made me fearful. But one of these days, when I take a trip back there for work or whatever, I'll try and see if we can make it work. But for now, we're back, we're here, and let's have conversations. But let's give a shout out to who's here so far. Always got to give it the shout outs. Babe Cakes, Pika Pika, Daddy Zard, Ripper, Corey, Senpai, Tenmo, Koga, good to see Koga, Hermit Man, Silent Gamer, RD, Mitchell, Hash Ketchum, and Pokemon Department Store. Good to see you guys. today. So glad we got things rolling. Also, I realize a Google ad is playing. I don't know why a Google ad is playing, but yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get things rolling. And in terms of the overall news, obviously, you guys know what we missed. Mainly just the discussion about the stolen Pokemon. I honestly don't think it's... Zisco, shout out to Zisco. And Big Money, you guys want the shout outs. I honestly am... How do I want to say this? I'm not, like, that surprised when the news came out that obviously immediately people started jumping to conclusions and like the product was stolen, it's gonna affect our supply, blah 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 blah, that's why we have bad pull rates. But I mean, come on guys, like at the end of the day, the Pokemon company is like, as much as we like to crap on them, there is some form or some semblance of structuring when it comes to things. Like, and you know, if you notice with the Pokemon company, historically speaking, right? Or we should say Millennium Print Group. If you've noticed, Mason actually brought up this point on one of his videos not too long ago. For the longest time, we had leaks constantly. It was Celebrations leaks for the newest set, Crown Zenith links for the newest set. Like, we constantly had leaks going on for whenever a new set, whether it be, you know, cards in the garbage, whether it be you know, pictures of the print sheets. Like, there was always some sort of leak that was constantly happening on, and most recently we haven't seen any of those leaks, sorry. And you got to ask yourself the question, why is this because of the restructuring of the contract with Millennium Print Group? Is this because Pokemon has just now started to kind of ratchet down on this? Obviously, this news is not really... Oh, speaking of Mason, he's here. Is this something that is, you know, is just going to be the future? Is this temporary? Or the real question, is it about the rappers? Is it about the rapper? No, I'm just saying that because Mason's here. Which, hey, honestly, like, I know you were saying it was like kind of a joke video. I mean, bro, watch it come out as that's the reason why. Like, watch it come out as that's the reason why. Because it kind of makes sense, like, when you look at it. Like, obviously, we're grasping for straws here. But if we're putting our tinfoil hats on and we're saying to ourselves, what's going on, right? If we're saying, okay, well, the Pokemon company has consistently said that they're aware of the concerns for the lack of supply. We're going to address this to the best of our ability. Well, they say to the best of their ability. Is there something they can't control? And if so, what is that? Well, they can control the printing at this point because Millennium Print Group. Well, they can obviously control the cards because it's Pokemon Company. What a part of the equation can they not control? Just the overall sealed product that requires packs to be sealed or cardboard of any sort. So if you say anything that's in their control, what's out of their control, I mean, makes sense to me somewhat. Tinfoil Fedora only half on for that video. Dude, needs to be 100% on. What is this? What is this nonsense? We need it back. I need to start getting more into character. Like, I obviously have my moments of where I'm being like a goofy goober. Like, I went into like a 10-minute spiel about how to rob a bank, and like, I know you guys found that funny, but I need to like really get into like a character with it, and I need to like get an outfit. That'd be the fun time. My next tinfoil fedora video is wild. Oh, do you have one ready already prepped? Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I can't wait for this one. They say SV rappers feel and sound different. I mean, in the videos, you hear that? You hear that? You hear and feel the difference? Which, to be fair, I've not actually opened an SV booster box, so I can't tell you guys what the difference is between the SV booster boxes and other products. So most of the product I've opened so far has been booster bundles, which they changed the way in which they're shipping booster bundles, if I'm correct. Glad you're back, brother. Hey, appreciate that as always. There's still Crown Zenith product coming May 5th, so technically Sword and Shield isn't over yet. Technically, that is 100% true, Silent Gamer. Obviously though, you have to look at it two ways with that. There's a difference between because the Sword and Shield is not over at all. Like, I feel like people, and you're hearing this a lot because you either have people that how do I want to say this? Don't really follow Modern that well, are making their opinions on Modern. Or you have people that are new to the hobby that don't understand how the Pokemon Company operates, and then they make comments on it. And so people are like, Scarlet and Violet's here, this is it for Sword and Shield. But as we've mentioned many times before, Pokemon Company only cares about what's in print, and what is in print is more or less what's in the standard rotational format. What is rotated out as of now? We've talked about this before, we'll talk about it a little bit more. It is Sword and Shield base all the way up until Shining Fates, and some of the cards in that there was like prints of. For example, you go Fusion Strike, Quick Ball, that is no longer in print, which is funny because Fusion Strike is part of the E-Wave, but it actually has some D cards because they did another print variation of Quick Ball. So with that, the Pokemon Company is looking at sets that are no longer in D-Wave, because those are just out of rotation, not part of the standard format. There's not really any point to printing those, you know? We don't have Scoop Up Nets anymore in competitive play. We don't have Evolution Incense. We don't have, I mean, I could keep going on, but, you know, Rebel Clash Battle Styles and Sword and Shield base, the three main, you know, competitive sets from the well, I don't know why I threw Battle Styles in there. Battle Styles is part of E, so Battle Styles is next and forward in terms of what is left. And so yeah, so I don't see anything in terms of Shining Fates or older getting a reprint at this point, which, to be fair, we did get a small resupply of Shining Fates product. Most recently, I got a couple of cases. I think it was like 9 or 10 cases that was given to me from one of my distributors, and then a couple other distributors. We had open availability for a little bit on like a once a week case limit. So the product is there. They gave us a little bit right before it went out of rotation. But outside of that, in terms of Pokemon product, you know, wasn't really much that they were offering. So next up, Battle Styles and Beyond. So we will see what that is going to look like. As someone who doesn't ship product too often, which company would you recommend shipping through for convenience and fees? UPS and FedEx, technically speaking. So if I'm being honest, I used to ship like 90% USPS and then like 10% UPS, and I've honestly flipped it the other way around, because for me, I feel like if you're a smaller business and you're just starting off and you're shipping like smaller packages, USPS is like 90% of the time going to be cheaper. But once you start talking about shipping case quantities and like larger items, then UPS is going to be typically more cheaper. The only time where it's not going to be cheaper is if you have a heavy box and a heavy item but a smaller box. USPS specializes predominantly in heavy items and smaller dimensions, where UPS, it's usually bigger dimensions and heavy items. So that's usually, I mean, that's not 100% true for everything, but like I would say that is true for the most part, especially depending upon which middleman service you're using. Pirate Ship, Shippo, XPS, a couple of those guys, they have different rates based on that. But at this point, for my own personal sake, UPS is kind of where I am just predominantly shipping. One, because they have much better customer service. Two, they have a lot better they have a lot more opportunity for drop off and pickup zones, a lot better hours. So for me, just from a convenience perspective, that's where I am. But when you're starting off, I mean, USPS, like I said, was usually what I was going for. I think some PokeTubers are using it to milk the situation and take their own reason, which is why it's affecting FS pull rates when it's not entirely true. Sounds about right. Would you rather distro know the latest Pokemon production news and not tell you, or not really know and lie to you about it? Fantastic question. I would much rather them know about it and not tell me. 100% much rather have them know and not tell me. Because if they lie to me about it, that is way more detrimental. Because if, hypothetically speaking, I have a rep that's like, hey Eli, I have news that there is Pokemon reprints coming and this is the date. And then that date comes and then it doesn't occur because they were, making that off of a general assumption and not off of confirmation, then that's a big no-no, right? It's kind of like when I had a conversation with my rep. He said early March, late February, and then informed me that based on the Pokemon's history, though, it wouldn't surprise him if it bled into April. Obviously, that came to fruition more in April with Brilliant Stars and Astral Radiance, but it wasn't like a reprint in which we were hoping. But at the same time, the kind of hope or expectation we were looking for was March and February, right? And that's how it is at the end of the day. It's like a catch-22 with that one. And so it's like no one's 100% ever going to be accurate. I mean, I remember when I was told a while ago, and I never discussed about this on the channel because I just didn't have any full confirmation about it, but I remember I was informed that we were going to have Chilling Reign Wave 2 come out in July, and then August, and then September, and then I just stopped asking about it, and then eventually it finally came in November when Product Dump 2021. And that's the thing, is because at the end of the day, you can have expected dates that distribution will expect to come based on what their higher ups are telling them. And then when the Pokemon company continues to delay things, then it's like, all right, well, are you a fool for expecting the Pokemon company to actually get things done on time because they're typically late on things? Or are you what is kind of the situation on that? You know what I'm saying? But do you know how big is the Brilliant Stars reprint is? I mean, in terms of Brilliant Stars reprint, it was very, very tiny, very, very tiny. Like, we didn't get a ton of it available. And if we actually go and take a look at the price, I just realized I was on the second page. That's why it wasn't popping up. I was like, why is it not showing? But we're on the second page. It's on the first page of the demand. So Brilliant Stars, as you guys can see, it has been affected by the price. I know a lot of people have been saying there's not a reprint, it's not happening, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, whether you want to call it a reprint or not, which I've been informed by multiple distributors, not just one, multiple different distributors, 3 in particular, it is a reprint. And they informed me that we were going to be getting a small supply from the Pokemon company. From the Pokemon company, not from a third-party supplier, the Pokemon company. And as we've seen the price go from 170 all the way down to, if we're looking at the lowest price available, we are looking at roughly around Brilliant Star. I mean, I don't like to look at the photos personally. I like to look at the non-photo one. So it looks like it's at 147 right now, but at its lowest is around 145. So it's dropped, if we're talking about from the swing high to swing low, it's dropped about $25. Like, it's a small reprint, but we saw prices drop, and that was the expectation. And I made a video on it saying, I don't expect prices to drop more than MSRP. If they do, maybe we're talking the high 130s, low 140s, but my expectation was this is not, based on what we see, going to have a major effect in the market, which is nice to see. There was more product release. It doesn't matter what they want to call it. Exactly, Mason. And I feel like that's the point that a lot of people miss, is the amount of times I hear people squabble and bicker over whether it's a reprint or not. Who freaking cares? Like, who freaking cares? Whether you want to call it that or not, does the price drop? Yes, if the price does drop, obviously in terms of like the context of, is it a reprint or not? People look at that and they see it from the perspective of, okay, that means there's more product coming at a larger quantity, but that's not 100% true, right? We've seen resupplies, perfect example, right? We've seen resupplies such as with Lost Thunder and Fates Collide. It was not a restock. It was old supply of Sun and Moon product that was out of rotation and XY product that was out of rotation that they just so happened to find a large quantity of. And what ended up happening, booster box prices and build and battle prices for those drastically crashed. And that was a resupply. So for people to say whether it matters if it's a resupply or a reprint or restock, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The connotation obviously is with a restock. Usually that means that the prices are not going to move as much, versus with a reprint, prices are going to move, but that's not definitive. That's not 100%, because as we saw with Evolving Skies, we've had small Evolving Skies reprints that have made $200 drop all the way down to $130. We've seen Brilliant Star from $170 to $144, $145. It doesn't matter. Like, it changes constantly. Nothing's ever definitive. Prices are just going to do what prices are going to do. It's just a lot of people like to sit in that denial or that bubble of, there's no product ever coming. You're crazy. How could you say that? Why would you lie? Blah, blah. I'm hearing from my sources, and it's always some like rinky-dink person that they trust that, you know, just watches a bunch of YouTube videos. Like, it's never like a definitive source of someone that actually has connections. It's like, what? I don't know, man. It's a fun time, but Mason gets it. Mason gets it. What what in the world for what's in the world for Pokemon USA? Oh, what's in the works for Pokemon USA? Oh, had to get it going. I would say that as far as it goes, what's in the works is right now I'm just trying to stabilize my current bulk operation that I'm running. I just finally hired someone. Let's go. And actually that someone is my fiance. The last couple of people that I tried hiring didn't work out with, and my fiance was like, I'm just gonna quit my job and work for you if you want. I already help you out from time to time with products, so I already know what to do. I already understand the system that you run. And I was like, seriously? That would be awesome, because she has helped me with so many projects. She's very detail oriented, so she's running the bulk operation and helping me with shipments, so that's cleared up some time. But once we get that entire production stabilized, the next thing is I want to really focus more on content related things, such as I want to do YouTube shorts. I want to focus on doing more posts on socials. I want to focus on seeing if we can do more breaks. I know a lot of people have been talking to me about a podcast. One thing I've actually considered, but I'm not there yet, is when I think of a podcast, I think of like an in-person studio set. I've thought about having one of my buddies who's also pretty big into Pokemon being a part of that, just to kind of see if you guys, just play test. If I were to invite someone on to do a podcast with me, kind of have a back and forth, because it would be pre-recorded, right? Like I wouldn't go live with the podcast. It would be like a hour and a half, 2 hour discussion where we have segments and we each give our personal perspective on things. He's more focused on the competitive side of things. He focuses more on what's the meta, and then I obviously focus more on what's going on with the market. And so you would get a little bit of perspective on that, but then also would be goofy goobers, so you'd also get the fun side of it. So stuff like that, that's kind of where we are in terms of progressing as a channel. It's just baby steps, because the last thing I want to do is kind of shoot for the moon and rush into things and then just give it half-assed, right? I want to make sure we can get there with quality first, before we really start pushing heavy for that content side of things. Long time no see. Hi everyone. What's up, Ketchum All TCG? Good to see you, brother. Hopefully all is well with you. What's up, Plebisaurus? Always good to see Plebisaurus as well, and Pokemon Trainer. I have a headache, but I miss Eli's face and voice. Gotta have a daily dose of. Hey, I appreciate that. Well, hopefully you take enough ibuprofen, or you just, take care of yourself. It's good to see you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Trenell says, my Wikipedia source says, right? What sets are you looking forward to most this year? Ooh, fantastic question there. Always good to see you, boss. So if we go take a look at Poke Beach, we can show this on the screen. But they most recently announced, and I know people are going to say, people will always find an excuse, right? It's the funniest thing to me. If a set doesn't include a Charizard, people are like, man, this set sucks. It has no good hitters. For example, I've been hearing a lot of negative sentiment around Scarlet and Violet that I feel like is so unwarranted, because for a base set, it's an incredibly well done base set. It's a really well done base set. But anyway, I hear all the time people be like, this set sucks. It doesn't have a Charizard or an Eevee or a Lugia, blah, 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 blah. It's a total brick. And then whenever a Charizard set comes out, it's like, blah, it's a Charizard set. When are they ever going to give us something other than a Charizard set or an Eevee set or a Lugia set? And I'm like, you can't have it both ways. It's just always complaining, always the same, always Twitter. But to answer the question, one of the sets I'm looking forward to the most. So there's two in particular. Obviously, 151 is going to be insane. I am super duper excited for 151. However, the one that makes me hit the feels the most, and this is just based on what we've seen in terms of rumors, comes down to the set Ruler of the Black Flames, which is going to be Obsidian Flames for English. So that is going to be a Terra type Charizard, Dark Charizard, and the reason why this is so freaking exciting to me is because one of my favorite generations was the EX era. I'm a huge EX era fan. I know I talk about Diamond and Pearl the most because, Diamond and Pearl is truly what I grew up with, but Delta Species cards were some of my favorite cards. I love Delta Species cards. And so for that reason, for them to more or less have a Terra type, which I feel like could potentially be a play on a Delta species card, and potentially have a Charizard set that's going to almost bring like a similar feel to it. I'm extremely excited about that, because when I see a shiny Charizard, like, shiny Charizards are cool and all, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm a fan of shiny Charizards, and to be fair, this is a shiny Charizard. It has a star on it, but with the Delta species concept, if they were to just bring those back as a set, I'm extremely excited about that. Personally, that's kind of where I am. 151 obviously is going to be phenomenal as well. It's going to be a remastering. We don't know to what extent it's going to look like, whether it's going to be an evolutions type set, but it's going to have a bunch of alternate arts, rainbow rares, or not rainbow rares, sorry, alternate arts, full art trainers, and character rares and the likes of that. But the only thing I can say is that, and I could be 100% off base with this, they have yet to do a Venusaur and a Blastoise alternate art. I have a high feeling that they're gonna do this with the next set, and I'm excited about that. That is something I'm extremely excited about it. Silent Gamer says, what do I do with my bulk? You ship it to me for free, obviously. No, I mean, what do you do with your bulk? If you're talking about where the best places to ship your bulk in, I'm going to give a shout out to TCG Bulk Kings for this one. He has on his website a very informative list that constantly updates with all of the places that will give you the best rates for shipping and sending in your bulk. So if I'm being completely honest, what I would do though is I would try and look and find some of the more expensive competitive items in the meta right now. A ton I can think of is Kirlias are super competitive right now. Nest balls are super competitive. Battle VIP passes are still extremely competitive. Just go through and look at the cards that, for me, I mean, you know, to each their own, but for me, I'm looking at cards that are around the 25 cent plus. But if you're like, that's too much effort, then sure, just go 50 cents, 75 cent, whatever that kind of number is for you. Filter through that, might as well get some value out of it on TCG, and then just send in the rest to a place like, you know, Safari Zone or whatever is on the list for the best price on Bulk King's website. But if you don't want to do that, then you can always just send it in or sell it to a local game shop. But that's usually what I recommend. A part of me is like, I want to start accepting bulk again, because we're at a rate where we're picking it up, or we're like churning through it so quickly that I'm like, all right, we're gonna start needing more supply. My thing is that I'm like not wanting to compete with the market because the rate of buying has gone up so much, and a part of me is like, charging a penny and a half just feels like it hurts the heart, because I see game stores charging half a penny still, and I'm like, oh, I envy you. So I'm in the process of potentially just using the bulk that we have at the store, and just honestly, whenever I go down and visit, just packing up a couple of suitcases and just bringing it back with me, because we have so much at the store. But Pokemon community are fickle folks. 100% agree. Average player and great hit rates. Yes, another perfect example, right? Oh my goodness gracious, the hit rates for this set are absolutely terrible. I hate it. Gosh dang it. Oh my goodness gracious, the hit rates for this set are so good. Everything's worth crap now. It's like insane how there's never a win. And don't get me wrong, there is a finite balance to it. Like, there always will be a finite balance, but I guess it's just ironic because it's always such a hyperbole from both sides. People are going to hate Zard because of the hat. Trust me, don't understand the hate. The hat hate. It'd be so cool to have the Dark Zard, the paradox forms of the starters, instead of just putting a hat on the Zard. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, the hat is definitely going to be something people are going to hate, which, to be honest, going and looking at the designs from, if we go to Scarlet and Violet, going and looking at the designs for the Gyarados, like, I know this is a hat, but I don't really notice it that much. Like, I look at it as more of just like a water kind of design in the background, and I feel like they do a good job at really emphasizing the Pokemon. And so as long as they can continue to do an art design like this, where there's like a lack of emphasis on the crown because it's cut out quite a bit, I think that would be the most productive for the set itself. Obsidian Flames is getting overblown. Terra type Mons haven't gotten alt arts. The Terra Mons look the same as always, so it's going to be a bland regular Zard with a goofy hat. Mason out here absolutely just dunking on Obsidian Flames. Hey, I mean, fair enough, man. Just like with the criticism people are saying, with the hats, it's going to be the hats. But I guess for myself, I don't know. I like to be an optimist at times. And I look at that and I don't say more or less that I'm excited for specifically the Charizard because it's going to be another Charizard. I'm excited for the idea that this could potentially play into a resurgence of like a spinoff of Delta Species. I could be wrong. I could be 100% off base on this. But if we're looking right now on what we're seeing from this set in terms of Terra type Pokemon, it appears as if it's really only being shown as like a secret rare, right? Or an ultra rare, I should say. Sorry. And I want it to be how it was previously, where it was more than just ultra rares. Commons, uncommons also got that like Terra typing with them, and that's something I'm hoping they will do, but I could be wrong. I pay $5 per 1,000 for bulk and get a 5-row a week. So you spend 4 times 5. You spend about $20 a week on it, dude. You're burning through that crap. I mean, that sounds pretty nice. I would like to take in that much bulk. I probably would say that realistically, I take a 5 in. I get a 5-row, I want to say once every other week is what I would say I'm at this point. So, and I, how do I want to say this? Run through the Roka, a 5-row once a day. So, it goes in quite fast. It goes through quite fast. What's good, Corey? Good to see you, brother. Have you experienced Pokemon burnout? Starting to feel it. Have you noticed a dip in Pokemon attention at all? For myself personally, I have definitely not experienced a burnout, but I feel like that's how it kind of is when you run the business side of things, because at least for my personal experience, Mason can also talk on this, but for myself, the business side has me so focused that, like, although I'm following the sets consistently and constantly because I got to stay in the know from an investment side perspective, for me, it's always new and always fresh because I'm constantly doing more, like, to grow myself and to grow the business and look at investment opportunities. And so for me, that kind of making money side of things always is what keeps me focused. But yes, I understand the burnout side of things with Pokemon, having felt that before in the past. But I feel like for myself, I really felt that with the competitive side of things, because there were times in the market where I felt like the meta was just unhealthy and it was just not fun or fresh when it came to the competitive game. And then sometimes I would say that, yes, I totally get it. There is a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's just lulls in the market. Like, one of the things that honestly turned me off a ton in the black and white era was that they brought the EXs back. I was a huge fan of the old EXs and the whole EX series, but I really felt like the new EXs, I kind of was just like, well, this just feels kind of lame. It doesn't feel fresh. It feels new. It feels like they're reusing an old concept. And that's kind of what bored me quite a bit, if I'm being honest. Which is ironic because they're bringing EXs again. But honestly, at this point, now that I'm less of a competitive player and more of like a collector, and I've seen the appreciation of the alternate art cards and such, it's at least allowed me to enjoy that aspect and instead ignore the little EX or level X or GX at the top. I wonder how artists feel about drawing hats. Dude, right? They're like, what is this bullshit? The dark typing Terra hat is pretty dumb looking. Oh, seriously, dude. Seriously, dude. You'll have to spill the beans on what you're doing with all that bulk. I mean, it's not really that exciting in terms of what I'm doing with my bulk. My operation is pretty simplistic, I would say. More or less, I just filter out cards that are under a certain price point and we're constantly trying to figure out what that is. For now, we're testing it out at 3 cents. It might go up higher depending upon the volume, but what I've noticed from just the numbers that I'm reading is that most of my general sales are from cards that are 10 cents or higher. Like, I have a huge general volume of sales when it comes to 10 cents or higher cards. For cards that are under 10 cents, the volume is not nearly as much. And obviously I am filtering out cards that are 3 cents, putting it into 1,000 counts that I can then sell and repackage. That's kind of what I'm doing with that. But the operation in and of itself and how it looks is pretty simple. We get a big pile of bulk. We then sort it out by set, and we have little box rows at the top where once we've gotten 1,000 count, we put it in so that once it's ready to be put in the Roka, we already have the 1,000 count of the same set prepared, and then it takes us about 15 to 20 minutes to filter in whatever that set box is. And then you just rinse and repeat the process. Pretty simple. Anything that is under a certain amount gets filtered out, puts in a 1,000 stack, we call it bulk, and then we just sell it as just like 1,000 count bulk lot, right? But right now, in terms of our cards that are moving, we've got so many Kirlias, we've got so many, what's another one we have a ton of? I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's like an incense. It's not Evolution's incense, but it's like, it's 25 cents, and it's like flip a coin if heads look for an evolution type, if tails look for a basic. I can't remember what the name of that card is. We're selling a lot of those. We're selling a lot of Raltzes. I mean, it's whatever's going on in the competitive meta. You guys already understand that. So, but we're at a point where we're just trying to find that perfect equation to where we can consistently intake bulk and consistently churn out the same like equilibrium amount, because the rate in which my fiance is able to sort through bulk is extremely fast. Like, she does about 5,000 to 6,000 a day in terms of running it through the Roka, uploading it on TCG Player. So roughly right now, we're talking about 150 to 160,000 cards just month to month on our active inventory. So if you check us out on TCG Player and you're like, chill, Eli, like someone messaged me about it actually. Someone messaged me about it on the Discord. They're like, chill, Eli, some of us got to eat, because they saw that I had, what was it that they saw that I had a large amount of? But there was one specific product that I had like an absolute crap ton of, and they were just messaging me about it. But I can't remember what specifically it was. All right, where the frick is this? All right, I'll have to look for it later. I don't want to get too sidetracked with it, but... Oh, you're the floor guy. Got it. Oh, Mason, you're the floor guy? No, here's what I am, Mason. I'm the guy that likes to make as much money as I freaking possibly can. And that's the thing. Is right now, if I say to myself, I can burn and churn like this many cards and it's not going to take that much work, I'm going to do it. Because direct, if you look at direct orders, at least from what my numbers are showing me, thank you, Capturing Aroma. If you look at what my numbers are showing me, they're showing me that the cards that run through direct, like predominantly are cards under 10 cents. There are cards that are over 10 cents that are going to sell, but at the end of the day, from my personal experience, if we're talking cards that are 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, 6, you get it. A large portion of those single card orders are going to direct from just what my numbers are showing right now. Surprisingly enough, when it comes to the Kirlias, a large part of my Kirlias and my higher, more expensive competitive cards are actually selling through envelopes more often than not. And that's why it's quite interesting to see, because my original prediction was it was actually going to be the inverse. I thought it was going to be the cheap cards were going to be envelopes and the expensive cards were going to be through direct. So I'm obviously, we're testing as we go, but right now, for myself, I'm saying if I can just churn through a lot of these like cheaper cards and I can just burn and turn them through direct, and then the more expensive cards, people just, get their $5 free ship because they ordered like 5 cards that were each worth $1 plus, then that's going to make it a lot easier in trying to find that kind of calculation and algorithm for it. I should do a live stream sorting bulk. That'd be my fiance, man. She's the one that does all the bulk sorting. I just helped with the envelope packaging the other day because we got absolutely wrecked one day. We got like 90 envelopes in one day, and that was really fun. So, but yeah, we have a system down where in terms of how the ordering process works, it takes about 5 hours for her to, or sorry, it takes about 2.5 hours for her to sort about 6,000 cards, and then it takes her about 20 minutes to 15 minutes each time to put it into a box after it's gone out of the Roka. So realistically speaking, it takes her in total about 3 hours a day to sort through and catalog 6,000 cards, which is extremely fast if you've done it by hand, like extremely fast. And she's doing this all by herself, so she's a freaking monster right now. And that's where I'm like, okay, if we're gonna sell things, we need to sell things quick, because our inventory is just constantly skyrocketing, but also at the same time it's like, all right, we need more bulk now. So she's 1,000% the real star, dude, 1,000%. So it was the Curlia, Artie says. Okay, it was the Curlia, but yeah, no, it's a process, man. It's a process. I want to get that finite model down so that we can 100% lock in on it. But I mean, so far seems to be going well. I mean, we average about $300 a day, which if you do the math on that, that's about $9,000, and that's after fees, is what I'm calculating it for. Obviously, I'm not including shipping supplies and such, so probably after shipping supplies, it's closer to $7,000. But I mean, so far we're on track, and the number I'm giving you of 300 a day, that's commons and commons. That's not commons and commons rares. That's not holographics. That's not, you know, V-stars. That's not rainbows. That's not hyper rares. That's all commons, uncommons, and rares. So anything non-holo, in other words. Oh, I lied. A couple of build and battle promos. We do have quite a bit of those. Quite a bit of build and battle promos. Couple of questions. May I ask, what do people do with the bulk when may I ask what people do with the bulk when they buy them? Well, I just explained it. So there you go. I'm sad that I got denied TCG player plus. LOL. I guess I shouldn't have speed run to level 4. Why'd you get denied it? Man, I've been offered 12 for 1,000 and had trouble getting some. Yeah, man. I mean, right now at this point, if I'm being 100% honest on where I'm getting most of my bulk, it is from, it's from streamers. It's from streamers that I have just made connections with, who basically want product from me at wholesale prices, and I give it to them at wholesale, and in exchange, they send me their bulk for free. So it's a win-win. And a lot of the times they're like, hey man, I'm actually already sitting on 50,000 cards of bulk. I just didn't know what to do with it. If you want to take it and you just sell me packs for like $2.60, $2.90, however much it is, I can get them. You know, it's always changing based on the market rate. They're like, I'll take it, man. Like, they'll do it. So that's kind of the negotiation that I have made with some streamers. Shout out to Echo Based Collectibles. He's one of those individuals. So that's where I am on it, which is why, you know, my margins are 100% because I'm doing it for free. But I've been trying to go to my local game stores and have conversations with them about, hey, can I pick up your bulk for you? Like, would you do an agreement with that? But if I'm being 100% honest, it's drastically different of a market in Bend, Oregon compared to Arizona, where a lot of people are like not really buying bulk. And if they are buying bulk, they're only taking in so many. And I'm like, I can help you take more. And they're like, nah, it's fine. We're fine with our system. And I'm like, I'm literally offering you an opportunity to increase your margins for free. And I will come up and I will pick your bulk and you will get free money. And they're like, nah, we're good. I'm like, okay, you do you. But my storefront in Oregon, which is doing extremely well right now, my partner's like, dude, got like so much bulk. Whenever you come down, just pick it up. Take it back with you. Just don't get it. Eli's fiance burning through bulk right now while Eli's hanging out with us. That is 1,000% what is happening right now. She is downstairs in the office as we speak, sorting through cards. Pokemon artists are feeling the flippers burnout as well. Some refusing to sign cards because they got burned on the resale. Yeah, I feel like it's less that they're getting burned out because of the art designs, obviously, but yeah, they're burned out because of the resellers. Eli's the face, his fiance is the workhorse. That is a perfect description of our relationship. That is a perfect description. I'm the one that's really good at the marketing and the branding and setting up a system, and then It's like, how do I want to put this? It's like I'm an artist that just throws up on a canvas and then she comes in and cleans up the garbage. Like, that's literally how it works. Like, I have a vision, I have a plan, I have a step-by-step process, how I'm going to get things done, and I have a process that I can keep all in my head because I'm a little special in that way where, like, I have just an extremely good memory. And so I can run an operation extremely cluttered and unorganized. And if someone else came and stepped in and tried doing it, they would just have an absolutely terrible time because they would have to remember everything. Which, good luck on that. And so my fiance comes in and says, hey, this is super inefficient. This is super dumb. Let me help clean some things up so that we can, you know, detail orient this, you know, straighten out the system. So that's kind of like the 1-2 punch combo, which works out perfectly. I mean, it's great. So, and I've had some help from other people in the community as well, where I've cut back drastically on shipping times, where before it would take me so long to ship out packages, and thankfully we've been able to cut back on that, which is going to allow me to focus more on expanding into other projects and fields. I literally just finished shipping out 12k bulk cards in 3 USPS boxes. Yo, that's rough, dude. What does the print run look like for ZZ pin collections? I'm bullish on them for the long term. I have absolutely no clue right now. If I'm being honest, I have no clue on what the pin collections are in terms of the overall supply yet. The only ones I can tell you are the product that is out right now. And if the pin collections are out right now, then I guess I'm oblivious to it because I never received any. If to my knowledge, the next items are coming out are the playmats and then the Zacian, sorry, not the playmats, the pin collection and then the Zacian Zamazentes, and then the playmats just came out, obviously, which there's a decent amount of playmats, which is nice to see that we got some product. What's your thoughts on Team Up? Do you see it possibly just sitting at that 1500 for a booster, or is it only up from here? Team Up's 1500 a booster? I could have sworn it was like 900. I could have sworn it was at 900. It's at $1,500 now. What? Am I sleeping? Am I taking a nappy nap? Holy crap! Did someone actually buy it for that amount? I mean, come on. No way that it's... We're gonna have to take a look at this on eBay. No! Stop it. Sold items. That's what we like to check. Sold items. Holy shitza, dude. That's insane. That's how much it's at right now? Dude. Whoa! Bro, that's wild. I didn't realize it shot up that much. Was this most recently? I mean, where did this price increase just come from? Because it was 1,000. Okay, this literally is, it hasn't even registered yet. This is most recently that the price just kind of shot up. Wow. I don't really know what to tell you on that one, man. That's crazy because it's not just on TCG Player, it's also on eBay as well. Huh. I honestly couldn't tell you because that's ridiculous to pay a price for a Sun and Moon Era booster box that's been out for only... I mean, it came out in 2018. God, it's 2023? Holy crap, guys. It's been out for 5 years? Whoa, time flies. I mean, dude, I don't... We thought $1,000 was going to be the top, and now we're having to look at $1,500 a box. I obviously can't call the top. I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't see it stopping if it's just going to keep doing this. I don't know how volatile it's going to be in terms of its increase, but this looks ridiculous. Fiance put another Roka on the wedding registry. Oh, that would be so funny, Hermit. Oh, that would be so funny to do. Put the freaking Roka. Hey, hey, we're still making payments on it, so we'll... Hey, guys, if you want to help out with the wedding registry, we got an item. What does this do? It's a card sorter. That's actually pretty funny. I like that. If the symbols keep on upward trajectory, there's a good chance Team Up booster boxes will follow. I mean, yeah. Singles for this set? Oh, Oh, what? People are paying this much for this card? There's no way this isn't just buyouts, right? There's no way this isn't some form of market manipulation. In some sense. This feels way too nutty to not be some form of market manipulation. Who the frick in their right mind is paying $5,000 for this card? I'm sorry, that's so crazy. Am I tripping here, guys? Am I tripping? Would you pay $5,000 or $1,000 for this raw card? Like, I don't know. Am I tripping here? And do I not know what I'm talking about? Like, I understand the sets were printed less, but what? Minty ones are much higher? Why are people paying so much? Look at the PSA 10. Am I about to blow my mind because I haven't been paying attention to what's been going on with Team Up? You ain't getting one for $500 today? Jesus loves me. That's insane. I remember looking at it at $200, thinking that was crazy. After it shot up from 70 bucks. Where is it? It's probably right in front of my face. There it is. Oh gosh dang it. I gotta do the whole login thing again. I mean, why? But this, like, it just feels like this just happened. Like, this just was all of a sudden. And I mean, the charts represent that, yes? Like, this is an item that literally... Nope. This has been happening for the past year. Have I not been paying attention to the alt arts going up that much? Jeez, I guess not. That's crazy. Alright, let's take a look at the 10. About to lose my mind. Wow. That's insane. I mean, look at this trajectory, guys. Look at this trajectory. Look at this. Look at this. This is crazy. I cannot believe that people are paying this much for this card. That blows my mind. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool card. It's a gorgeous art design. But come on, man. What? Team Up Tuesday. No, I won't buy it unless I won the lottery or something. They're bought out as soon as they're listed, dude. I'd rather buy the Asian version. I know it's a cool card, but $2,000 for a modern card? Look at the Magic cart. What? Is this right? 333? But the card raw is going for 187? I mean, in retrospect, you gotta say to yourself that the raw variation is extremely undervalued if you compare it to the other two, but we don't know if it's gonna follow the same pattern. But even if it is, I mean, if you're talking about wanting to take a risk on these, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, and if you want to, you can. But if I'm going to take a risk on one, $333 for this card is insane. Insanely cheap. Whoopsie. Let's not go that far back. Okay, well, what's been going on with Cosmic Eclipse? Because Cosmic Eclipse, it looks like it's been the other way around. Because I follow Cosmic Eclipse quite frequently. And I haven't seen really anything that crazy with the... I mean, it looks like it's gone... Actually, it's gone up in the past month quite a bit. But, I mean, it had a huge fall off. And the supply for a card like this is much smaller. Modern Team Up is 4 years old. Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Would you call it vintage? Because I wouldn't call it vintage. 4 years old. I don't consider Sun and Moon era to be vintage. Obviously, we're in a new generation. Obviously, we're in a new generation now, being in Scarlet and Violet. But that doesn't mean that I all of a sudden am like moving Sun and Moon into the vintage category. Like, I barely consider Black and White to be vintage. So booster box break, right? Got the Magikarp for like 33 months ago. Best purchase ever? Yeah, best purchase ever indeed. What's more hyped, Latios and Latios or Moonbreon? Obviously Latios and Latios based on the pricing, unless it's just complete market manipulation. Let's be honest, modern alt arts are better than anything vintage has to offer. It's not surprising we're collecting it. Team Up was peak Pokemon and we didn't even know it yet. Or sorry, tag teams were. I mean, I've always said it before that in my personal opinion that the Sun and Moon era is hands down the best era that we've ever had. That is something I stand by, and I'm still a firm believer on that compared to Sword and Shield. I think Sword and Shield is definitely up there as one of the better generations. But if you look at what Team Up or what you really had to offer, it was banger after banger after banger after banger. And now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're gonna go back and we're gonna look, and we're gonna say to ourselves that, you know, hindsight, there was a banger after banger after banger at the back end. But for me personally, when I look at, you know, Crown Zenith, great, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Pokemon Go, Astral Radiance, I look at these as all like they're good sets, but they're not like banger sets, right? I look at Crown Zenith, Celebrations, and Evolving Skies as the real bangers. That's about really it. When I look here, I say to myself, Hidden Fates, Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds, Team Up. All absolute bangers of sets. Shining Legends was even a good set. It was underrated at the time, I've said this before, but like the back end of this really shined. Like you had back to back to back like 5 amazing sets, and we're gonna not include Detective Pikachu in that equation, but like incredible, like 5 just powerhouse of sets. And that's what I feel like made Sun and Moon shine the most, because that second half era when they included the tag team Pokemon was just ridiculous. Tag team generation was phenomenal. Loose comic packs are still relatively readily available, so there's still a lot of people opening packs, whereas team up prices for loose packs are much higher, so it makes less sense to open. Well, I mean, I guess you're telling me, man, what I need to start doing is getting in on freaking Cosmic while I can. Let's take a look at Unified. Let's take a look at Unified Minds, actually. Because if we're, or maybe even Umbra. No, I want to look at Unified. I want to look at Unified because I want to look at the Mewtwo. And I want to look at... sorry, I don't want to look at the Mewtwo. No, because it's not the rainbow. I don't think it's gonna... No. Maybe we don't look at Unified. Maybe we look at Unbroken Bonds? Okay, so Gardevoir and Sylveon. Where is this card at still? This card is in a PSA 10. It is still going up. Still going up. But if you really think about it, once again, if we're talking about this whole like rigmarole of jumping up in prices for everything, $350 for this is still feels dirt cheap compared to how much the raw is. Like the value of these cards for 10s is incredible. I honestly, I look at this and I say to myself, here's the question here. If we're looking at Team Up, are we saying to ourselves that the Latios and Latios artwork is the outlier? Or are we saying to ourselves that it is the leader? Is it the outlier or is it the leader? And you ask yourself that question too, because we look at the price of the booster box for Team Up, which, to be fair, Team Up was a very short printed set. There was not a ton that was available. And with Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds, there was a small reprint that came at the back end of it. But as we can see here, prices are still going up for this item. It looks like there's been a most recent drop off in the past couple of months, but I mean, there was a huge period where this was going from like 300 all the way up to 500 and climbing, right? And it's obviously listed at as low as 505 right now. So this is not super accurate because you've got sales that are kind of all over the place on this because the sales volume is so low. But it's like I said, is it the outlier or is it the leader? Because if it is honestly the leader, then these are all drastically underpriced, like drastically underpriced. And if you're someone that just wants to throw 180 bucks at the wall or 300 bucks at the wall and say, hey, if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, cool. I own an alternate art design from the Sun and Moon era and it's gorgeous. And as you can see with what happened with the Latios, you know, it was thrown at the wall. And not to mention too, look at, and I know people might look at this and say, I don't really freaking care because it's all about demand, which, to be fair, truly demand is going to play a factor here. But if you look at the supply for this item, it's 725 is what the supply is for this, right? That's how many there are available. I look at a set that is more readily available, that has more of the card in general, and I say to myself, this card is going for 368, and it's got almost half the population. I don't know. And obviously this has been climbing. I mean, not too long ago, you could have picked up for 275, and you know, you're gonna have to suck it up. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's crazy to say. The question is an outlier or not? I think it's honestly not a bad risk that you're taking. If you can just say 180, 300 bucks, just once a month or once every other month, obviously depends on your financial situation. Just, all right, well, instead of eating out at McDonald's 10 times, McDonald's is expensive nowadays, trust me. Let me just go get myself a freaking alternate art PSA 10 that I can just enjoy my collection. I don't know. Eli, I'm having trouble valuing Snorlax PSA 9. Your thoughts? I usually go off of market value of whatever eBay is. Sure, they have more to offer, but where does the value come from? 1000%. Yeah, everything went up during my hiatus. It feels like it. I think the end of Black and White with full art trainers is trainers to now is modern. So you would say that the first half of Black and White is old and the second half of Black and White is modern? You call it midway? Hey, that's one way to put it. Supply and demand, with demand being driven by hype. Scary market to dive into if hype dies down. Oh, 1000%. Moonbryon is way more graded though. Well, yeah, 100%, but the demand for Moonbryon is drastically higher. What do you think about baby shinies and amazing rares in 3 to 5? Do you think that they were going to go up, or were they heavily printed? I mean, they were heavily printed. Heavily printed. I mean, gosh dang it, man. They were printed into the ground. You want to talk about some high-level baby shinies? Let's go take a look at the Rayquaza in a 10. I think it's like in the 6,000. I mean, I could be speaking out of my butt, but I remember it was in like the multiples of thousands at minimum for the 10 of the Rayquaza. So the 10, I mean, yeah, I was right. Okay, 7,000. 7,000 of this card. Do I think it has an opportunity to go up? Yeah. Do I think it's 7,300? I'm just not a fan of investing in that. I look at items that I think are in high demand areas, and by areas, I mean, I look at it like the housing market, right? That's what I look at it as. Are you guys ready for the freaking most banger analogy you're ever gonna hear? This is going to be a freaking banger analogy, or I'm going to get made fun of. I don't really care. I look at the booster box as your neighborhood, right? This booster box is the valuation that tells you how good of the area that you're living in, right? And when I go and I take a look inside the neighborhood, I look at the houses that I can purchase, right? And I say to myself, I can purchase a Gardevoir or a Sylveon, I can purchase a Greninja or a Zoroark, and I say I can purchase a Marshadow Machamp. And you know, sometimes it's in a really, really nice area, but the market in that specific area is up and coming, it's developing, and so the value of the area is extremely well, right? But the houses within the area are still developing, and so because of that, the prices for them are drastically undervalued. And so if you can get in dirt cheap in an up and coming area that is going to, and let's say a perfect example, right, is in my old state of Oregon, right? Bend, Oregon, ridiculously expensive, super duper expensive. One of the neighboring places is called Redmond, Oregon, cute little town. When you first saw prices of Bend on the rise before it was extremely expensive, Redmond, Oregon was like dirt cheap, and it's a nice area. It's a good area if you want to go into town and Bend. It's about a 20 to 30 minute drive depending upon how far you're going in from one end of town. With that all being said, Redmond prices shot up drastically when the price of Bend was getting extremely expensive. So more or less what am I saying with that is, you see people from Bend look at opportunities for housing and say, it's getting expensive, I can't own a home, and they go to the next best thing, right? They go to the next best thing. But at the end of the day, Redmond was always a nice place, but it was cheap because it wasn't Bend, and everyone wanted Bend. But then when that opportunity came to Redmond, then everyone was like, all right, we're going to Redmond, and then prices skyrocketed. I look at the same thing when it comes to these alternate products, right? I look at Team Up is kind of like Bend right now, and it's just super expensive, and then the alternate prices are super expensive, and I see it in terms of Cosmic Eclipse and other items, they're the next to go. And they're in a point where you can see the value because of the booster boxes and what people are willing to pay for the booster boxes. And we know the scarcity based off of what the PSA supply is for some of these items. And we say to ourselves, hey, the booster boxes are going for a bit, but the cards have a low population, but the prices are, they're not much, right? And so for myself, I look at that in the same kind of regards. Or if you want to even get into it from an even deeper perspective, when I look at the evaluations of, and I could be 100% wrong on this, but this is just my personal opinion. When I look at this Team Up as a set, right? One of the things that I was always told is I like I don't want to pay top dollar for the most expensive, most high demand house. It's better to find a middle of the road house that more or less you can work on. And obviously that doesn't equate fully to, you know, because you can't freaking build a Pokemon card and you can make it better. But the point that more or less I'm making with that is, if you know you're in an area that has a ton of value and you see value with some other items, then odds are there's potential for your house or for your item to go up in value. So in other words, I look at Team Up and I say, Team Up, extremely expensive booster box. Latios, extremely expensive. I'm staying away from that. But I see a card like Magikarp Wailord, and I say to myself that this is not only in a set which has a card that we've seen skyrocket up, and we have a set that has a booster box that has gone up. And you look at this and you say, why is this only $333? I could be 100% off base. This card could not go up in value a dime. But for me, knowing that it's in an area, and by an area I mean it's in a it's in a set that has shown proof of value, I'm willing to take that risk on the chance that it could also continue to go up in value once the opportunity spikes for it. Trinell says, you heard it here, folks. Pokemon USA says Rebel Clash is the ghetto of Pokemon. I know, right? Isn't that so funny? I mean, I don't know. It's like how do I want to say this? it's not a finite, like, rough comparison, but it's somewhat of a comparison. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Hopefully you guys understand my analogy. Average player, I don't feel like agrees on the comparison though. He says dangerous comparing it to real estate when real estate is necessary and cardboard is cardboard. But I'm not. But average player, I think you're missing the point that I'm making with it. I'm not comparing it to real estate. That's saying that investing in real estate is equal to investing in Pokemon. I'm saying that in terms of general investing strategies. I'm saying keyword here is investing, right? Investing strategies, I look at that in a very similar to parallel kind of way. That's the point that I'm making. I'm not saying that instead of buying a home, go invest $100,000 in Pokemon cards. Please don't take that out of context. I am saying that if you look at a lot of the professionals when it comes to their investing in real estate and flipping homes or buying properties to rent, they have certain methodologies and strategies that are extremely successful, and those can be very common in when you're looking at other commodities. That's just what I'm saying. Please don't take this out of context. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I want to make this very clear because it's obviously not the same. I'm just using I'm using an analogy. That's what I am using. Okay, so that's just kind of what I mean by that. Because, for example, maybe this is a bad analogy, but I'll try and use another analogy to equate the analogy of the analogy. It's when I play a sport like volleyball, there's a lot of defensive mechanics to it, right? And learning where to read where the ball's going, right? If I go play a sport like tennis or pickleball or something like that, I'm able to bring a lot of my defensive mechanics from volleyball into tennis or pickleball. They're 1,000% completely different sports. But there's a lot of those mechanics from sport to sport that transfer really, really well. That doesn't mean they're the exact same sport. Doesn't mean you're going to play the sport the same way or keep score the same way. Of course, they're entirely different. But there's certain fundamentals that you learn that can be transferred. I look at that in the same way. It's more or less the value of fundamentals of investing that can be transferred from certain sector to certain sector. And that's the point that I'm more or less trying to make. And the example was a little silly, but I don't know. I like making examples to help make it easier for people to understand, but I wasn't, you know. Now he's thinking 350's cheap. Well, it is in grand scheme of things, Silent Gamer. I mean, to be fair, like I said, I've been following Cosmic for a while because Cosmic's my favorite set, one of my favorite sets, if not my favorite set of all time. So for me, I've been following Cosmic for a while, so I'm sad it's at 350 because I was looking not too long ago and it was 270, so that hurts to see. But yeah, going back to the analogy I was more or less making, if I see that the the Heart Latios is doing that well, and I look at the price of all the other alternate arts in PSA 10 in the set, I say, what's to say they're not undervalued, right? Eli spending his profits on McNuggets. With demand and hype being as it is, people don't think when purchasing it is badly justifying purchasing. People are paying when it would have grown in a long time, but right now. No, I 100% agree. And that's the reason why average player, when it comes to the conversations that I have with you guys and the investments that I make, 99% of it is in ultra modern sealed product because I know what the floor is. Right? We don't know what the floor is. I could tell you guys that I am going to pick up this card because I look at it from an investment perspective, and this card in theory could go down $150 tomorrow. And that's the risk because we don't know what the floor is for this card because there is not a floor. Which, to be fair, there's not a floor for booster boxes, but we know what wholesale is. This is not an item that has a wholesale value attached to it, so it's completely different in the way in which the value looks for it. So, yeah, I understand this, and I want people to know this. I'm not, this is all just conversations that we're looking at because people are bringing this to my attention, obviously. What's up, Joshua? How's it going, everyone? I hope everyone is happy with their pools from Scarlet and Violet. EB value is all over the place, unfortunately, 1,000%. McDonald's releasing more Pokemon soon. I did hear about that. People have funny how people think 3 to 5 years when people can't even remember what they had for lunch yesterday. I can tell you what I had for lunch yesterday. I get the point that you're saying, average player. I've said this many times before. History tends to repeat itself because people forget history. And that's the problem. I mean, it's a problem if you're someone that's uninformed, but also at the same exact time, it is a problem because you look at a lot of the mistakes of society, they're going to continue to repeat over and over and over and over again, and there's always going to be constant justifications for those who are ignorant of history because it's not the same. And that's how it is. That's how it's always going to be. They say, well, sure, it's sure this terrible tragic thing happened, but the reason why what we're doing is different, even though it's the exact same thing, just masked in a different limelight. Same concept applies when it comes to investing and making investment decisions. People always say, but this time it's different, and that's the excuse I hear most often. What was your worst long-term single card investment? Wow, worst long-term single card investment? I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, it's hard for me really to say what my worst one is because I don't really invest in singles. If I buy singles, it's usually to grade. So I can tell you what my worst purchase was in terms of where I went and bought a card. I had someone go in person and check it out for me, and I didn't, I was on FaceTime when I was looking at the card, and come to find out that I thought the card looked like it was in a 9 condition, and then when it was sent off to grading, it ended up getting a 5 because there was a small crimp in it, and so I ended up losing a ton of value off of that. It was a EX Rayquaza from Ancient Origins, the alternate, or the hyper rare version. So I would say that was something that I messed up a ton on. But in terms of like graded cards, I don't really invest in graded cards. I can't think of a graded card that I've ever bought that I've ever looked at as an investment. I guess there is one I can look back on and say I did buy a Lugia. I did buy a Lugia that I ended up selling at a small loss. So I guess I would say that was one. I bought a Lugia PSA 9, and it was an initial buy that I made a while ago, a long time ago, back when the price went from like $15,000 for a first ed all the way down to like what I purchased it at the time, which is $2,900. I thought it was a good deal at the time, but then the price ended up crashing all the way down to $1,800. I sold at $2,700 because I saw that the price of the card was not flatlining, and in my mind, I looked at it and I saw the potential for it to go down, and I was like, wow, okay, this card could actually continue to drop in value, so I should probably get out now and take the loss. And I did, and it dropped ridiculously lower. So I'm lucky I got out with only a $200 loss. So I would say that's probably my 2 examples. How's Steam Siege doing? Yeah, right, iFOMO. How's Steam Siege doing? Let's take a look. Steam Siege. Booster box price for Steam Siege. It's not even in stock. Are you serious? Did someone buy it out? Steam Siege booster box. Most recently sold for $350. It's doing Steam Siege things. It's not really that crazy. I have a store offering me 6 cases of SV ETBs for $300 each. Do you think that's the best entry point? I am paying, currently speaking, $310 for each ETB. So you're paying actually below wholesale. Your booster box. Booster box is an ETF, the Card Insider Individual Stock. See, great hero. Just another example of how you can use comparisons in other markets. That's more or less the point that I'm making. That's 100% the point that I'm making. Obviously, it's not the same as real estate. Yes, obviously. You say that, obviously, BC3, but I swear to God, bro, the amount of times I've had people take me out of context infuriates me, because I literally will try and make an analogy or a comparison, and then people will immediately obviously, obviously, the point that was being made by Trinell with that must mean I think Rebel Clash Ghetto. Obviously, that was a joke, but there are a lot of people that'll take that exact they will say that exact thing, but take it full on seriously and like accuse me of being like, I don't know. They'll just attack me in some form of way. So it's sad to say it's not obvious for some people. Someday someone will appreciate Rebel Trash. Well, so far the price of it is extremely expensive. Eli in Pokemon USA, didn't say Eli. In your opinion, which ETB on the Pokemon Center will be the next to sell out? Ooh, Pokemon Center. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Where are we? Elite Trainer boxes. A lazy kind of mood. A lazy kind of mood. I feel that. I worked a lot yesterday. Chilling sounds kind of nice right now. The next one to sell out. Ooh! Brilliant Star sold out. Let's go, baby. That's hype. I'm stoked. Because hey, if you guys remember, I made a video where I talked about my top best investments and I talked about my biggest quote-unquote misses. And one of the items that I talked about was Brilliant Stars Elite Trainer boxes, and I said that I was surprised that they weren't sold out of stock yet, and I expect them at some point to go out of stock, and that would be a good opportunity. So it looks like it finally happened, so I'm stoked about that. If I'm being honest on which one I think is going to go out of stock next, like 1,000% honest, I think it's going to be Lost Origin, honestly. And the reason why I say that is because if we look at the moves, and I'm starting to change my opinion. Okay, so how do I want to say this? I'm still a huge fan of Silver Tempest for the purpose of the Lugia, because history has always repeated itself. But if I'm being honest, I'm obviously always going to follow whatever the numbers are telling me. And so, although I have my own historic bias based on what has historically happened, Lost Origin has been performing extremely well. Like, extremely well. I'm about to sneeze. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And don't get me wrong, like Silver Tempest, one of the arguments I made is that it hasn't been out as long as Lost Origin, but still, it has performed extremely, extremely well, where it's at a point now where I think there's an argument to be made that LO is just, even with considering the time of when the releases came out, it's performing better than Silver Tempest. And so for that reason, I just gotta believe, man, that I think Lost Origin is next. I think Lost Origin is more than likely the next one if we just look at the three and how the boxes are performing. What's wholesale on Scarlet and Violet booster box? And it depends on the site, but between $95, $50, and $101. BC3 says your poor investment turned into a good call on your end. Yeah, exactly. You get that. And that's the thing is, we all have our emotional, and I wouldn't say it was emotional though, because I look at it and I say to myself that it was a good opportunity, but I wasn't passionate enough about a Neo Genesis Lugia to sit and hold on it. And so I'd much rather take the 200 than try and catch a falling knife, which is 1,000% what the reality of it was. I mean, you guys want to take a look at how bad this was in terms of Neo Gen for the 9. Holy crap. It's probably, I don't know what it's at now, but we can take a look and see what it's at. For the 9, because it was ridiculous. I mean, look at that, guys. All the way up to around, okay, so not 15,000, 10,000 or $9,000, and then whoosh, and now it's kind of stabilized. It looks like around the, I mean, it's kind of all over the place still, honestly. Like, it's around the 2,000 to 2,500-ish range. That's what I would say at this point. So, but yeah, I mean, dude, it went whoosh. I was seeing some sales that were for like 1,500 to like low 2,000s, and I was like, whew, I'll take the $200 loss all day. I mean, I still sold it. Even with it recovering, I still sold it for higher than what market is right now. So, good call. I'll take that loss. What's up, Trax Phantom? Good to see you, brother. Got the heart emojis going on. I'm going to the card shop to pick up some packs and singles. Let's go, baby. Love to hear that. Brilliant Stars was up forever, dude. It was up for a very long time. Very long time. Longer than I anticipated. So I'm glad it's here, man. I love your expert, honest opinion. I love how I can invest with confidence. Well, at the end of the day, one thing I will say, and I appreciate the support, obviously, Trax Phantom. I will say that although you can invest with confidence, still know there is risk. let's all, say that. Because to be fair though, like when I do give my calls on what I think is a good investment, worst case scenario, you're breaking even or you're making only 10 to 15%. So on the bright side, when it comes to my calls, it's very rarely that I make a loss, but it's not because I'm Mr. Crystal Ball here. It's because I know what wholesale prices are. And I just know, right? Which reminds me, one of my calls that I have been super duper amped up on. Let's take a look and see how it's doing so far in the short term. Where is it in price at this moment in time? So it appeared $95. I mean, this has not done anything. I'm just waiting for this hyperbolic move to occur. I'm just waiting for this to just absolutely go crazy. That's the item that I'm still waiting on, because I think this is drastically undervalued. Drastically undervalued. That's my more or less, thing I'm waiting for. It is a 6 set though, average player. I do agree. But I guess my thing in Phantom is one of the biggest complaints that both I saw other people had and then I had from personal experience was the pull rates were atrocious. I opened 2 cases of booster boxes and pulled 1 alternate art. And from my experience, I usually average at least 3 alternate arts a case. So it was bad. I'm 4 years old and I enjoy the hobby now more than ever. Hey, well that's good to hear, man. Do you think Pokemon Center Brilliant Star ETBs will surpass Fusion? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a hard one to say, Alex. I think they'll perform extremely well, but surpass, a part of me wants to say yes, but also at the same exact time, because it's Brilliant Stars compared to Fusion, but a part of me looks at it and I say the bubblegum coloring of the Fusion Strike Elite Trainer Box is such a unique design that I love this coloring. And honestly, it's one of my favorite alternate designs for the Elite Trainer Box because of that. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's so cool. And I like it for that reason. But I mean, it's Brilliant Stars, so I assume that it's gonna, even though the ETB design is much more lackluster, it's probably going to surpass it at some point. But yeah, I don't know. It's got some room it's gotta have, that's for sure. Gotta hop. Have a great day. Well, thanks for stopping by as always, Trainer Mason. I wish CZ would have been up that long. What's up with that? I shake my head, right? How is Korean evolving EV Heroes doing? I don't know. I don't follow it. Caught the live. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Do you think Pokemon Center will ever restock Crown Zenith ETBs? I'd like to think at some point they're going to. I'd be honestly surprised if they didn't. Because I look at it and I say to myself, the design, or sorry, not the design, but the way in which Crown Zenith has been released as a set in such like waves, it has me to believe at some point we're going to hit with a resupply of the Elite Trainer boxes. I could be wrong, But that's just what they've always done. That's just always what they've done with every other Elite Trainer box. Even the Pogo one sold out on the release day, and then they released some not too, and then they released some shortly after. And I mean, heck, it's still available. So I don't know, man. But yeah, the fusion art design is sick. I agree, Alex. It's super cool. Dr. Boss says Lost Origin or BS as the number 2 in the Sword Shield set. If you take away the pull rate factor, I would say probably Lost Origin. Just because my ever loving heart goes out to the Aerodactyl. I just love this card design so much. So gorgeous. Such a cool alternate art. Berserker can go frick himself though. I'll never forget about a year ago. I fell asleep when bidding on a Dragon Majesty UPC and ended up selling for like $240 at the time. That was a great price. I mean, Stranko, I can tell you the amount of times I've had that experience. It's the reality of the situation where we always look at the past and we say, man, I wish I got in at this price. I wish. That's just how it is, man. We always look at the past because of that. Man, imagine, remember the days when it was yeah, it's just the game we play as humans. Because as someone who loves level X's, and I was like, oh, $200-300 for a PSA 10 level X? That's so expensive. Way overpriced. I'd never pay $200-300 for that. I'll wait till it goes back down to $100 to $150 per. Oh, how wrong I was. Oh, how wrong I was. Let's go take a look at some of the level X cards that I missed out on. Let's take a look at base set in particular. Not even a unique special set. Whoopsie. Just base set Diamond and Pearl. Infernape level X price. Just kind of crazy. To be fair, it's such a small pop. It's not like it's... No, there's not that many. That's why at this point, it's more fun for me to just go through and open the packs. I just go buy some of the older packs and open it because it's just more fun that way. For me personally. LO is the best in the Sword and Shield, is what Wrath thinks. It's not. It's pretty dang good. It's a good set if you take the pull rates out of it. Oh, the Mario Pikachu. There you go. When I was 12. Isn't that... Hey, yeah, well, there's a lot of things we wish we could do when we were 12. You know what I wish I did, average player? I wish I invested in Bitcoin when I was 12. You know, that's what I wish I... Yeah, right? Like, there's so many things we can say. Oh, I wish I invested in it when it was this price, or this price, or this price. But we just got to be able to move on from that. But yeah, no, level X's were my thing, man. Level X's were my bread and butter, which is why at this point I just open packs because it's way more fun anyway. And if I get a 10, I get a 10, which I just recently I sent in some cards for grading, and a while ago, back in August, and some of the cards got 10s, some of the cards did not get 10s, and the ones that I thought were going to get 10s that didn't, I cracked them, and I re-sleeved them, and I resent them back in. And we're going to see if I get lucky or I strike out, and I hit a 10 on some of them. But I feel like my grader was quite harsh under the circumstances, especially with discussing with one of my buddies, or Raheem, one of the other mods, about his experience with cards that he thought were going to get 9s that got 10s, and then got 10s that got 9s. I'm like, I'm going to hope I can get that luck with you this time around and see if I can hit a 10 on one of my cards that was supposed to be a 10. Hey Eli, just dropping by to leave a like and say hi. Coaching track this spring. Have practice during your live streams. Hey, well, I appreciate you stopping by, Jason. That's cool. That you coach track. I have a lot of respect for track athletes as someone who went to a school that had an extremely competitive track track and field team. Yeah, I guess that's what you would consider him. Yeah, I mean that's how our coaches considered him. So I have a lot of respect for it. One of our coaches actually got multiple offers to be like an Olympic level coach because he was phenomenal. One of the best coaches I've ever seen. I know that because he was our conditioning coach for football, and then also as well I had him as one of my health coaches. And he was an awesome guy. Gotta go Karen mode on PSA. FOMO gets it, right? Raz says, the way I look at it is the best favorite sets is the cards that I think look the best. Which set has more cards I want regardless of price? Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I can actually go back and look. I can't stand grading companies. I know, dude. The inconsistencies is ridiculous. And, you know, I'm obviously just trying to feed into my own bubble, but the amount of videos that I have seen of people just posting resubmissions where they got like a ton of cards that got 9s, and then all of a sudden they resubmitted it and a ton of those cards got 10s, it's just like, it just feels like an absolute scam. And it just feels like at some point I'm just going to hit that 10, and I just have to wait until I hit that 10. So I am sending in, I can look at my submission sheet and I can tell you guys what I am sending in. View details. So I hopefully won't show any personal information. So here are the cards that I am sending in. So Phantom Forces, hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. You should be able to see this on the screen. I got Phantom Forces from XY. This one was not, I haven't sent this one in before. Yeah, you guys should be able to see the name. I've got Diamond and Pearl Mysterious Treasures. I got a couple of reverse hollows just because I had some reverse hollows I wanted to set in. A couple of hollows that I had not sent in before. But once we get to like the very end of it, this is where we start talking about some of the cards that I wanted to send in that I didn't get 10s on. Majestic Dawn, both the hollow and the reverse hollow version, I'm sending in. The Rampardos GL hollow from Platinum Rising Rivals, that should have got a 10. Skeptile that I had 2 of. One of them actually got a 5, and I checked so hard to see where the indent was, and I couldn't find it, because that's what they usually do to make an auto 5. Couldn't find it. The other one got a 9, that stunned me. Fione from Majestic Dawn, that took me by surprise. I had an Arceus Charizard Hollow, which I felt like could have gotten a 10, but it would have been a weak 10. But at the end of the day, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll just regrade it, because the value between a 9 and a 10 is like the difference between $200 and $3,000. If I get an easy grader that I get lucky on, then it's cool. I just made a couple grand. Then I had a couple of level X's that I sent in, which specifically the Dialga one, incredible condition. Incredible condition. And the fact that I got a 9 just blew my mind. And another perfect example of that when regrading is there was a Leafeon level X that got pulled on a live stream from PokeRev, and the guy went in and graded it, and it got a 9. And he was so scared, which this blows my mind. He was so scared that it wasn't going to get a 10 grading. And so he didn't crack the slab because he didn't want to crack the slab. And so what did he do? He sold it as a 9. And the guy that bought it for him cracked it, regraded it, and it got a 10. It just goes to show you, man, like stuff like that happens all the time. Whoopsie, I actually hit my mic. So it's frustrating. So if at least like of the ones that I sent in for grading, at least like just 3 of them get 10s. I mean, obviously more the merrier. But if at least I have a couple of them that got 9s before and they get 10s, then it will make me consistently just continuous to resend in for grading. Well, I wish I bought Evolving Skies boosters when they're all sitting, right? I've had one of the best coaches in the country. Any small town school, got to be thankful for those I've met. I feel that, man. You know what I did? I sent 2 Lugia Altarts once, one very OC, and that I thought would get a 9, and I think the centering was 8. Trick the perception of the grader because the 9 got a 10. Wow. There you go, baby. You never know. They'll never be fair no matter how perfect the card is. In your submission, they won't give you all 10s. No, I agree. They won't ever give me all 10s, and that's why the strategy that I have is just slowly just resend in the same exact cards over and over again, but with just different batches mixed in. And how I did it was I ordered it in... So usually, this is just like a mental thing people say is... Send in your worst grade ones in first and then your better grades in last, so that when they look at it, then they like have something to compare it off to. But what I did was I compared the ones that I didn't give a crap, whatever they graded at first, and then the ones that I gave a crap at the end, so that when they look at them, they're like, I don't know, maybe it's a weird mental thing, but I'm like hoping that they'll compare it at the end and be like, yeah, these are good grades. Like, I don't know, there's so many mental tricks to it, it's crazy. Think about it. If you look at a picture with perfect centering or a stripe, if the first thing you see is an OC, it affects the other cards they see. That's my assumption. No, 1000%. That's why you send in the cards with the worst, you know, with worst condition, and then the lead up to the better condition ones, they look at it and they're like, yeah, this is better. That's why for me personally, I always put the cards that I want to get 10s at the very end. Because those are the ones that I hope they look at the very end and they'd be like, yeah, this should get a 10. But, I mean, this is just a hope. This is just a hope. It's an assumption that could be 100% right or 100% wrong. Who knows? Oh, well, I gotta wonder if Beckett has this problem. Oh, that's the question, too. Are the other companies in the same exact boat with this? But to be fair, they do have a harder standard of grading, so. CGC doesn't look also at like crimps the same way. It's crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start wrapping it up here. We got about another 5 more minutes till we call it. So if you got any more questions, anything that you want to discuss, feel free to mention that before we end it here. But hey, man, it was nice to be back. Definitely excited, to say the least, to be back to my normal, regular schedule. So, I missed you guys. I always get stressed out when I take time off from streaming. It's, I don't know. It's supposed to be a fun time, but sometimes it's not a fun time. You got things you're stressing out about. Always responsibilities that are being missed when you take time away from streaming and uploading videos. And I don't know, it's like this weird thing where I'm like, if I miss enough live streams, people are going to stop coming to them. And it's just silly. But all right, let's see. No, all right, I don't think we got any more questions so far. Doesn't look like we got any more, so might want to just wrap it up here. I'll give it another minute and see if we got anything else. But yeah, as far as it goes, I mean, that's kind of the main discussion for today. All right. I'm not seeing any more come in. Thanks for answering questions. Of course, brother. No worries. But yeah, I think that's it as far as it goes with questions for the day, ladies and gentlemen. So we will just end it here. But I want to thank you guys all once again so much for stopping by. As always, I'm Eli. If you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. But that is all for today's video.